She's cold, distant, and acts like she doesn't care. Don't worry, this video will help you attract any woman. Have you ever stood in front of a woman and thought, she already knows, I'm not what she's looking for? You lower your voice. You shrink your presence. Because deep down, you've already assumed the outcome. But here's a truth that most men never realize. Most women don't actually know what they want until they feel it. Not when they see it, not when they hear it, but when they feel a man's presence that doesn't bend to their approval. And that's what this is about. You've been told attraction is instant, that if she doesn't show interest right away, she never will, that once you're rejected, the game is over. But that's not how reality works. Attraction is not a lightning strike. It's a quiet shift. And often, the shift begins after you've stopped trying to impress her. If you've ever walked away from an interaction wondering, was I not tall enough? Not rich enough? Not her type? You've missed the real question. The question is, did you show up as a man she's never met before? Calm, grounded, and certain of his value. Because that man, he doesn't seek approval. He doesn't chase. He doesn't perform. He enters the room already full. He listens more than he speaks. He doesn't try to be liked. He simply is. And when a woman meets that kind of man, her perception begins to shift. Not because you begged for her interest, but because you refused to need it. In a world where most men fall to pieces at the first sign of coldness, you're about to learn how to remain centered. This video isn't about tricks. It's not about lines. And it's definitely not about pretending. It's about becoming the kind of man who changes the energy in the room without saying a word. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to approach any woman, not by proving yourself, but by proving to yourself that you no longer chase what doesn't serve you. Let's begin. 1. Don't worship her beauty. Observe her behavior. Most men surrender their power the moment they meet a beautiful woman, not because she takes it, but because they give it away. They see her face, her body, her presence, and suddenly, they forget what really matters. They stop evaluating. They start performing. But here's the truth. Beauty is not rare. Character is. And what separates a man of depth from the rest is his ability to look beyond appearances. Because beauty fades, but behavior reveals everything. So instead of reacting to how she looks, watch how she moves through the world. How does she treat people she doesn't need? How does she handle silence? How does she respond to not being the center of attention? The man who watches instead of chasing is the man who remains in control. Women are used to being adored instantly. They expect praise. They expect pursuit. But when you don't follow the script, when you don't fall into their rhythm, they notice, and they don't know why you're different. But they feel it. That mystery, that unpredictability isn't a tactic. It's what happens when you value yourself enough to observe before engaging. Let me give you an example. You walk into a lounge. There's a gorgeous woman at the bar. Every guy is staring, smiling, waiting for their turn. But you sit, you watch. You notice how she speaks to the bartender. Is she dismissive, polite, entitled? You hear what she talks about. Is it only herself or something with depth? You observe not to judge, but to understand. And from that place of awareness, you make a choice. Most men ignore red flags because they're intoxicated by looks. But you've trained your eyes to see deeper. You don't chase what's shiny. You wait to see what's solid. And when she realizes you're not enchanted by her beauty, you become the one she wants to figure out. Because Self-restraint is rare. Stillness is powerful, and indifference to her appearance makes your presence impossible to ignore. That's the quiet strength of a Stoic man. He doesn't worship what the world tells him to desire. He defines value on his own terms. So let others rush to flatter her. You slow down. You don't speak to impress. You observe to understand. Because in a world that chases image, you seek essence. And that choice is what sets you apart. 2. Stop chasing her. You are the prize. Most men walk into a conversation with a woman already defeated. They don't say it, but you can see it in their eyes. You can hear it in their voice. I hope she likes me. I hope I'm enough. I hope I don't say the wrong thing. That mindset, that's the reason she loses interest before the first sentence finishes. Because here's the truth. When you approach a woman like she's better than you, she'll believe it too. And when she senses you're chasing her approval, she pulls away. Not because she's cruel, but because neediness is repelling. It signals weakness, and weakness is never attractive. You've been told your whole life that women are the prize, that your job is to impress, to convince, to earn her time, that you must prove yourself worthy. Movies, music, social media, they all whisper the same lie. Win her over, and you win happiness. But that's not the truth. You are the prize, not because of arrogance, not because you think you're better, but because you know your value. You know what you bring. You know what you stand for. The man who walks in knowing this, he moves differently. He speaks without hesitation. He doesn't seek permission to lead. He doesn't shrink to be liked. He stands tall, calm, and sure of who he is. And that energy, that's magnetic. Women notice it, even if they don't say it. They feel it, because confidence, real confidence, doesn't perform. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't chase applause. It just is. You want her to respect you, then stop proving yourself. Start holding yourself. You don't need to act alpha. You don't need to dominate the room. You just need to stop handing your worth to her attention. She's not the judge of your value. She's just another person, trying to figure out if you fit her life, just like you should be figuring out if she fits yours. Ask yourself, do you walk into a room hoping to be chosen, or do you walk in already chosen by yourself? This shift in mindset changes everything. You're no longer chasing. You're evaluating. You're no longer begging. You're observing. You're not saying, I hope she picks me. You're asking, does she deserve a place in my world? Because your world, your peace, your time, your presence are not cheap. They are earned. And the minute you stop putting her on a pedestal, the minute you stop bending just to be seen, you rise. You stop trying to get her to see your worth, because you've already seen it yourself. And once you do that, something powerful happens. She starts to lean in. She starts to question. She starts to wonder, who is this man who doesn't need me to like him? That's when attraction begins. Not when you chase, but when you stand still and let her come to you. This isn't ego. This is balance. You've spent too long thinking you're not enough. But the truth is, you've just been acting like she is more than you. She's not. You're not. You're equal. But the man who knows his worth always becomes the one worth chasing. 3. Approach without needing her to like you. Here's the paradox. No one tells you. The more you need her to like you, the less she will. Not because you're not good enough, but because neediness pushes her away. It smells like insecurity. It tells her without a word that you've placed her above you, and a man who puts her on a pedestal has already stepped off his own. That's how most men lose the moment before it even begins. They walk up with a hidden agenda, not to connect, but to get something: approval, attention, validation. And women feel that energy. It's subtle, but it's real. She may not know what's off, but her instincts do. You've been there. That tension in your chest, that pressure to say the right thing, that fear of silence. You're not in the moment. You're in your head, calculating. Why? Because deep down, you've already tied your self-worth to her response. That's the trap. Attachment to outcome. It's not about what you say. It's about why you're saying it. When you walk into an interaction hoping to be liked, you hand over your emotional stability to a stranger, and every word, every pause, every gesture becomes a performance. But here's the truth. Real power is when you no longer need anything in return. You approach because you're full, not empty. You're curious, not disparity. You're not fishing for approval. You're offering presence. The most attractive men don't chase outcomes. They don't mold themselves to be accepted. They show up as they are and let the moment reveal what's real. If she connects, great. If she doesn't, also great. Either way, the man walks away whole, because his self-respect doesn't swing on someone else's opinion. This is the shift. You stop trying to win her. You start watching if she aligns with you. You don't talk to impress. You speak to express. You don't fear reaction. You recognize redirection. And when that becomes your reality, you reclaim your freedom. You no longer fear silence. You no longer chase reaction. You're grounded in who you are. Let her respond how she wants. Let her feel what she feels. That's not your responsibility. Your only job is to show up as yourself, unapologetically, calmly, completely. Because when a woman sees that you're not trying to impress her, she starts wondering why. And that question sparks interest, not because you played a game, but because you weren't playing one at all. She starts to sense something different, something rare. A man who doesn't seek approval because he already has his own. This kind of presence is magnetic, not loud, not flashy, but steady, unshakable. She'll remember the way you looked at her without flinching, the way you held space instead of filling it, the way you made her feel seen without losing sight of yourself. That's the man she thinks about later. Not because he begged for attention, but because he gave her something real to respond to. So next time you see her, don't approach to get something. Approach to give her a chance, to experience someone who doesn't need anything from her. And whether she's drawn to you or not, you walk away the same man you were before. Hold, steady, and unshaken. That's not indifference. That's power. 4. Flirt boldly, then pull back. Most men flirt like they're trying to win a prize. Too many words, too much praise, too desperate to be liked. But flirting isn't about proving anything. It's about creating tension, then walking away from it. It's about making her feel something she can't explain. Real flirting doesn't chase. It dares. It teases. And then it disappears. When you flirt, let her know you're interested. But don't worship her. No begging. No excessive compliments. No validation overload. Look her in the eyes. Smile with confidence. Say something bold. Then back off. Why? Because attention without absence is just noise. But attention that vanishes, that becomes memory. She expects your focus. So when you shift it away calmly, without drama, you trigger uncertainty. And uncertainty is powerful. It lives in her mind. It makes her wonder. It creates that small, electric question. Wait, what just happened? That's the start of attraction. Flirt like you know your worth. Because the man who's not afraid to step away is the man who owns the moment. This isn't about playing games. It's about creating space. Because in that space, curiosity grows. And curiosity is what makes her think of you long after the conversation ends. Here's how it works. You tease her gently. You lean in just enough. You give her a spark. Then you walk. Maybe you turn to talk to someone else. Maybe you leave her message on read. Not out of spite, but to remind her that your energy isn't free. Most men flood women with attention, hoping it'll lead to attraction, but all it does is drown the mystery. Mystery is what moves her. Mystery is what keeps her mind active. And when you flirt boldly, then disappear, you give her something to chase. Just when she thinks she understands you, you change rhythm. You slow down. You go quiet. Not cold, not rude, just unavailable for a moment. That's when her emotions catch up. That's when she starts chasing. Push, pull, fire, silence. That's how tension is built. That's how attraction lasts. Remember, you're not trying to be predictable. You're trying to be unforgettable. So flirt with presence, then pull away with purpose. Make her feel your absence. As much as she felt your presence, let her earn the next moment. Let her feel the contrast. And when you reappear, she'll be listening closer, watching tighter, investing more. That's not manipulation. That's awareness. That's control. That's power. 5. Challenge here. Don't compliment her. Most men think compliments are the way in. Tell her she's beautiful. Tell her she's amazing. Tell her what every other man already has. They believe that flattery earns favor, that praise equals progress. But here's the truth. It doesn't. In fact, too many compliments do the opposite. They make you seem unsure of yourself, like you're trying to buy her attention. And women can feel that. The energy of a man who's giving to get something, it's not attractive, it's needy. Because when every word is a validation, you're not leading, you're following, you're not connecting, you're hoping. And hoping isn't masculine. It's uncertain, it's soft, it's invisible. So what should you do instead? Challenge here. Not to argue, not to belittle, but to remind her that you see through surface. Because women don't crave constant approval. They crave stimulation, mental, emotional, energetic. They want to be around someone who makes them think, who questions their assumptions, who doesn't just nod along and agree with everything. Why? Because challenge creates contrast. It separates you from every man who flatters her. It signals strength. It shows you have your own thoughts, your own spine, your own presence. Imagine this. She says something you disagree with. Most men smile, nod, and pretend to care. You pose, you look her in the eye, and you say, "I don't see it that way." That's a moment she won't forget. Not because you rejected her, but because you stood your ground. She'll feel it. That rare tension, the spark of someone she can't control. And that spark, it's attractive. You're not just another echo. You're a man with depth. A man she can't predict. A man who doesn't need her approval to feel like himself. Challenge isn't confrontation. It's clarity. It's knowing that your role isn't to make her feel comfortable all the time. It's to be real, to bring your full self to the moment, to test if she can meet you where you truly stand. That's what makes it powerful. It doesn't mean being rude. It doesn't mean always disagreeing. It means being honest, sharp, and selective. Ask her better questions. Dig deeper into what she believes. Push her gently to think in ways she hasn't, not to break her down, but to see if she can stand up next to you. Because attraction isn't built on agreement, it's built on tension, on contrast, on the feeling of being challenged and inspired at the same time. And here's the beauty of it. When you challenge her in the right way, she becomes more invested, more engaged. She leans in, not because she's being entertained, but because she's being seen. You're not chasing her. You're inviting her into something deeper, into a dynamic where respect replaces approval. Because compliments make her feel good, but challenges make her feel alive. So don't tell her what she wants to hear. Tell her what's real. Speak like a man who knows himself, not to prove you're right, but to show that you won't disappear just to be liked. Let your presence say, "I'm not here to impress, I'm here to express." And that kind of energy, it doesn't just attract her, it awakens her. 6. Make her earn your interest. One of the strongest moves a man can make is to stop giving his interest away for free. Most men reveal their hand too early. They give attention too soon. They compliment too often. They express desire without standards. And just like that, the mystery is gone. The value disappears. You've shown her that you're already invested, before she's even earned your attention. And the truth is, what comes easy rarely gets respected. Women don't fall for what they can have without effort. They fall for what they must rise to reach. If you give your time, your attention, your energy too quickly, you rob her of the experience of earning you. You become another man in line, not a man of value. So what's the shift? You don't act cold. You don't play games. You simply stop handing over your interest without purpose. She should feel it. That you're observing, not offering. That you're weighing, not chasing. You're not here to entertain. You're here to decide. A high-value man doesn't move fast because he's not desperate. He moves with calm, with choice, with standard. He knows his interest is rare, and if she wants it, she must earn it. This doesn't mean arrogance. It means discernment. It means knowing that your attention is currency and you don't spend it recklessly. When a woman doesn't have to work for your energy, she doesn't value it. It becomes background noise, expected, entitled. But when she senses that you're different, that you're centered in your own mission, that you're not available to just anyone, her frame changes. She begins to question, why isn't he chasing me? What does he actually want? What makes him so self-assured? And that questioning becomes curiosity. That curiosity becomes attraction. You don't have to say anything flashy. You don't have to withhold affection in some manipulative way. You just hold your center. You stay focused on your path. And she becomes the one deciding how she can step into your world, not the other way around. Think of it like this. You are the fire. She is drawn to the warmth. But if you keep throwing wood at the flame for no reason, it will choke, it will smother, and she'll walk away from the heat you tried too hard to give. Instead, let the fire burn steady, strong, without needing attention. That's what draws her in. Women are drawn to men who are already fulfilled, who don't need them to feel valuable, who don't prove themselves by chasing. And when she senses that your world is full, but that there's room for someone worthy, she begins to qualify herself. She begins to pursue, not because you withheld affection, but because you didn't offer it too easily. This is how the power dynamic shifts. You're no longer performing. You're no longer reacting. You're choosing. So the next time you meet a woman, don't start with compliments. Don't start with open doors and open plans. Start with presence. Start with stillness. Start with the quiet truth that she needs to earn her place beside you. Let your energy say, I'm not impressed by looks. I don't need you to validate me. I have peace, and you'll have to bring more than charm to earn it. Because the man who gives his interest too soon gets forgotten just as fast. But the man who guards it like something precious becomes unforgettable. 7. Leave before she gets comfortable. Most men make the same mistake. They stay too long. They give too much. They try too hard to prove they're worth staying for. And in doing so, they lose the very thing that made them interesting in the first place: mystery. Attraction is not built in constant presence. It's built in space. It grows in absence, in curiosity, in the gaps between connection. But too many men fear losing her, so they cling. They become available at all hours. They respond instantly. They show up every time she calls before she even wonders if you might be busy. And when she never has to work for your time, she begins to assume it holds no value. Let me be clear. If she never gets the chance to miss you, she'll never realize what it feels like to crave you. You need to leave not because you're cold, but because you know how powerful your absence can be. It's easy to think that staying longer, giving more, always being there will deepen the bond. But in reality, you're training her to take you for granted. You're teaching her that your presence is expected, not earned. That's when the energy shifts. She gets comfortable. She stops chasing. She stops wondering, and slowly, the spark dies. You don't have to disappear completely, but you do have to know when to exit the room. Exit the conversation while it's still alive. End the night while she still wants more. Let the text go unanswered for just long enough to remind her you have a life outside of her attention. That's not playing games. That's creating polarity. That's how you protect the edge that makes you desirable. When you leave while the moment still holds heat, you become unresolved in her mind. You leave a trace, and it's in that trace that desire takes root. Men who never leave, who overstay every interaction, who keep talking when the silence would have said more, fade into the background. They become predictable, forgettable. But the man who knows when to step away, he lingers in her thoughts. He keeps her guessing. He stays rare. Here's the rule. Don't let your presence become noise. Let it be an event. Be the kind of man who values his time, who doesn't offer it on demand. Because a man who respects his own energy forces others to do the same. And when she realizes that your time isn't guaranteed, that your attention has boundaries, she starts to chase what was once chasing her. Make her earn your return. Let her feel the stillness when you're gone. Let her wonder where you went, what you're doing, and when she'll get to experience you again. Most men stay too long out of fear, but the Stoic man leaves from strength. He knows that walking away at the right moment amplifies his presence more than staying ever could. So don't apologize for your space. Don't fear her disappointment. Don't shrink just to stay close. Be willing to walk, not because you want her to suffer, but because you refuse to stay where you're no longer felt. That's how you stay unforgettable. That's how you keep the fire alive. If you've been bending over backward to win her over, texting non-stop, over-complimenting, trying to be the perfect guy, take a breath. That path only leads one way, to invisibility. When a man chases approval, he loses presence. And once you give away your energy without boundaries, you stop being respected. The truth is, you were never meant to be everyone's type, and you don't have to be. Rejection isn't a sign you're not good enough. It's a filter. It removes those who were never aligned with your worth in the first place. You're not here to impress her. You're here to be honest, to lead your life from the center, with or without her recognition. Women are drawn to men who have direction, who live by principle, not permission, who offer their time with intention and don't lower their standards just to be accepted. So, if you've been stuck in that cycle of needing validation, stop. You don't need to prove anything, not to her, not to anyone. The man who walks away from what doesn't honor him becomes more powerful than the one who stays to be chosen. Let her feel your absence. If your presence isn't appreciated, let her miss what she once took for granted. And above all, let your silence say what your words no longer need to. Because at the end of the day, you're not the one hoping to be worthy. You are the standard. Now it's your move. If this spoke to something in you, drop a comment and let others know they're not alone. Because every time a man rises in silence, he reminds others of what it means to be unshakable. With just a few simple words, no time wasted, she'll be lying awake at night thinking about you. Join me as we dive into the next video. With a few small everyday gestures, women will start seeing you as incredibly attractive. And if a woman has been stripping away your sense of control, this is the video you need. It will help you reclaim your power. Thank you for watching this far. Stick around until the end to fully understand the value of this video. There are words, and then there are words that haunt. The kind that echo in her mind long after you're gone. Not because of what you said, but how it made her feel. Most guys don't get this. They throw out compliments like candy on Halloween. You're gorgeous. Nice dress. Your eyes are amazing. Nice. Sure. Memorable. Not a chance. But here's the truth. A woman doesn't fantasize about how rich you are. She fantasizes about how you made her feel alive. She remembers the one who made her skin tingle. The one who looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. The one who said something so unexpected, so personal. It stirred something deep inside her. That's what this is about. Because once you say the right thing at the right moment, you stop being just a guy. You become the one she can't stop thinking about. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 dangerously seductive compliments. Not cheesy pickup lines, not flattery, but words that pull her in and keep her up at night. Use them wisely, because once you do, she'll never look at you the same way again. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe for more raw, stoic truth. Let's get into it. Compliment 1. There's something about you that drives me crazy, but I can't quite figure it out. There's something about her. You feel it before you even know it. That magnetic, invisible pull. The kind of energy that makes you lean in without thinking. That raises your heart rate, tightens your chest, makes the room feel smaller, like it's just the two of you. And the craziest part? You don't know why. It's not her smile, though it's stunning. It's not her body, though it's a masterpiece. It's something else, something you can't name. And that's exactly what makes it powerful. So you say it, not like a line, not like a compliment you rehearsed in the mirror, but like a thought that just slips out, raw, honest, and unfiltered. There's something about you that drives me crazy, but I can't quite figure it out. Suddenly, the air shifts. You've just changed everything, because now you've done more than flatter her. You've given her a mystery, and women can't resist a mystery when it's about them. Now she's wondering, what is it? What does he see in me that no one else does? Why can't he explain it? You've planted a question in her head, and questions like that, they don't go away overnight. They echo, they linger. That's the beginning. The moment she stops seeing you as just a guy. The moment she starts feeling you, even when you're not around. Because here's the truth. Women don't just want to be admired. They want to be wanted. Not politely, not passively, but in a way that feels wild, irrational, uncontrollable. They want to feel like their presence alone can make a man forget his logic, lose his grip, fall apart. When you say this line and mean it, you're telling her that she's not just beautiful, she's dangerous, she's intoxicating, she's unforgettable. And here's the secret. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Picture this. You're sitting next to her. The conversation flows. She's laughing, that real kind of laugh. And you're holding back just a little, but the tension is building. There's that spark in her eyes, that mischief, that challenge. Then the silence comes, that golden second where everything slows down. You lean in, just a little, not enough to break the space, but just enough to charge it. You lower your voice. You say it slow, deliberate, unapologetic. There's something about you that drives me crazy, but I can't quite figure it out. Then you pull back. No explanations, no smirk, just silence. Let the words settle. Let her feel them. And trust me, she will. She might laugh, roll her eyes, say you're crazy. But when she's alone, in bed, staring at the ceiling, she'll replay it again and again. The tone of your voice, the way your eyes looked at her, like she was rare, like she was dangerous, like she had something no one else did. And the kicker, you didn't finish the thought. You left it hanging, letting her fill in the blanks herself. That's what hooks her. Because when a woman imagines what you mean, she invests in the story. And the more she imagines, the deeper she falls. Because here's what most men don't get. Ordinary compliments are like cheap cologne. They wear off fast. You're hot. You have great eyes. Nice, but forgettable. Why? Because she's heard them all before. From guys who meant well but left no impression. They're safe, predictable, too easy. But when you drop a line that confuses her, that unsettles her in a beautiful way, you stick, you stand out, you stay in her mind. Women are emotional. They don't just want to be noticed, they want to be felt. They want to feel like their very presence can mess with a man's rhythm, And this line, it tells her exactly that she's already started to take up space in your head, that she's doing something to you, and you don't even know what it is. That's the kind of thing women fantasize about at night. So the next time you see her, watch her eyes. There'll be something different there, a curiosity, a hunger, a need to know what you meant. But don't give her the answer. Hold the mystery. Let her chase it. Because the longer she wonders, the deeper she falls. So tell me this. Have you ever met a woman who made you feel something you couldn't explain? Not just attraction, but that deep, haunting pull, like she was already inside your mind. Drop it in the comments. Let's see how many of us have felt that same fire. And if this lesson hit home for you, smash that like button, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and share this with a man who needs to hear it. This is the Stoic Spirit. Stay sharp, stay centered, and never be forgettable. Compliment 2. I probably shouldn't say this, but damn, you're dangerous. It doesn't sound like a compliment, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful things you can say to a woman. Not sexy, not beautiful, not stunning, dangerous. That's what turns the game on its head. Because while she's used to men calling her pretty, she's not used to being framed as a threat, as someone who could wreck a man's self-control. And when that comes from a guy who's usually composed, it hits different. It lands deep. There's something intoxicating about being told you're dangerous, especially when it doesn't sound planned, when it sounds like it slipped out, like you weren't supposed to say it, like it scared you a little. That's when she feels it, in her stomach, in her chest, a heat crawling up her neck, as she tries to act like those words didn't just change everything, because they did. But here's the catch. You don't say this in passing. You don't throw it out like a pickup line. You say it at the right moment, when she leans in a little too close, when her laughter lingers just a bit longer, when she says something teasing, something that stirs you. You meet her eyes, let the tension breathe, and in a low, steady voice, you say it. I probably shouldn't say this, but damn, you're dangerous. Then you stop. Let the silence speak. Let her wonder what you mean. Because now, she's no longer evaluating you. You're evaluating her. You've flipped the power dynamic. And trust me, women love that. Every woman wants to feel like she could make a man lose his composure, that just by being herself, she's chaos in a pretty dress, that you're holding on by a thread, and she's the reason why. This compliment tells her exactly that. You're not just saying she's attractive, you're saying she's tempting, she's a risk, she's the fire you know you shouldn't touch, but can't stop reaching for. And what happens next? She starts thinking, why did he say that? What does he see in me? Is he scared of me or obsessed? And those thoughts, they linger, they loop, they replay in the quiet hours of the night. That's when she starts fantasizing, not just about how you look, but about how you made her feel, like the temptation, like the problem, like she's the one driving you crazy. And here's the genius move. When she asks what you meant, because she will, you don't explain, you just smile, shake your head slowly, and say, "You know exactly what I mean." Then change the subject. Move on like it never happened. Now she's stuck in that moment. Heart pounding. Lips parted like she was about to ask something, but didn't. And it's too late. The mystery is planted, and it's growing inside her. So if you're wondering when to use this, use it once. Use it well. And walk away like it meant nothing. Because when it looks like you're unaffected, that's when it affects her the most. Have you ever said something that caught her off guard and saw the spark in her eyes change? Drop your story in the comments below. Let's trade notes like men who know the deeper game. And if this moment hit you like a truth you've always known, but never put into words, hit that like button, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and share this video with a man who still thinks compliments are just about beauty. This is the Stoic Spirit. Stay in control, stay unpredictable, and never chase validation. Compliment. 3. You have no idea how hard it is to look at you and not touch you. That's not just a compliment, it's a confession. The kind that slips out when the tension is so thick, you could cut it with a whisper. It doesn't feel rehearsed. It feels raw, unfiltered. Like you lost your grip for just 1 second. And that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. Most men play it safe. You're so pretty. I love your smile. Nice? Sure, but forgettable. What a woman remembers is the moment you let your walls down. Not completely, just enough to show her she affects you, that her presence stirs something in you weren't ready for. When you look her in the eyes, breathe out like you're holding something back and say, "You have no idea how hard it is to look at you and not reach for you." That's when everything shifts. Because now she feels it, the gravity, the hunger beneath the surface, the restraint you're fighting to hold on to. And women, they don't just crave confidence, they're drawn to that moment. When a man loses a bit of control, but still holds the line, it tells her she's dangerous, not in a scary way, but in the way that makes a man question himself. That's the power of this compliment. You're showing her that she has an effect on you, that you feel it deeply, and you're choosing to resist. That choice is what drives her wild. Because now she's wondering, what if he didn't hold back? What if he lost control just once? What would that feel like? And the more she imagines it, the more she wants it. But here's the trick. You don't act on it. You don't touch her. You don't move closer. You leave those words hanging in the air. You change the subject like nothing happened. And just like that, you've rewired her mind. Later that night, when she's lying in bed, she won't just be thinking about you. She'll be feeling you, the way your voice dipped, the look in your eyes, The way your hands tensed, just barely, like they were aching to move. And the best part? You never touched her. You didn't need to, because now you live in her thoughts. You've become the moment she replays again and again. So next time you're with her, don't say what's expected. Don't compliment her like every other man. Say something real, something she'll feel long after you're gone. Have you ever said something she couldn't forget? A line that changed the room in an instant? Tell me in the comments. Let's compare war stories. And if this hit home, like the video, subscribe to the Stoic Spirit, and share it with a man who needs to level up his game. This is the Stoic Spirit. Stay composed, stay desirable, and never let the fire burn out too fast. With a few small everyday gestures, women will start seeing you as incredibly attractive. What if I told you the most magnetic thing a man can show, a woman, has nothing to do with money, looks, or social status, but everything to do with the way he carries himself? Most men never realize this. They spend years chasing women with gifts, compliments, or flashy achievements, only to end up confused when the spark dies, or when she never looks at them with raw, insatiable désir. Maybe you've been there yourself. You tried to impress, to prove your worth, to show you were good enough. But deep down, you knew it wasn't working. Instead of pulling her closer, all that effort pushed her further away. Here's the truth. Women are not drawn to constant effort or approval. What truly ignites their attraction is something far more subtle, yet infinitely more powerful. It's not about doing more. It's about embodying something she can feel without you saying a single word, a habit so natural, so deeply masculine, that it immediately shifts how she responds to you. The ancient Stoics understood this long before modern psychology ever caught up. They knew that power, presence, and restraint were magnetic forces, that women are not drawn to the man who tries the hardest, but to the man who simply is. And in this video, we'll break down the #1 masculine habit women find ridiculously hot and 5 practical ways to live it out daily. Before we dive in, tell me your name, where you're from, and the biggest challenge you're facing in your relationships. Let's help each other grow. And now, let's begin the journey. #1. Stop apologizing. Let's be honest. Most men fall into this trap far too often. They apologize not because they've done real harm, but because they've been conditioned to soften their very existence. And here's the problem. Every unnecessary sorry doesn't make you look kind. It makes you look insecure. It signals weakness. And nothing kills attraction faster than weak energy. Think about it. A man who constantly says, "Sorry, is this okay?" or "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt," is basically announcing to the world that he doubts his own value. He's not standing in his presence. He's asking for permission just to be himself. And women don't respond to that energy with desire. At best, they tolerate it. At worst, they take advantage of it. Let me give you a picture. Daniel, 29, from Seattle. Smart guy. Works in tech. Stays in shape. But every time he's on a date, he apologizes for the smallest things. At dinner, when the waitress asks if he wants dessert, He says, "Oh, sorry, I don't really eat sugar." Later, when he shares his thoughts on a book, he adds, "Sorry if that sounds silly." By the end of the evening, his date isn't left with the impression of confidence. She's left with hesitation, and hesitation always translates to weakness. Now compare that to Sophia, 26, who went out with him a few times. When she told her friends about Daniel later, she said he was kind, but she never felt drawn to him. Why? Because she never once sensed that he believed in himself. His constant smoothing over made her feel like she had to take the lead. And that, gentlemen, is not the energy that stirs attraction. Here's the truth. Women don't want endless apologies. They want to feel your grounded presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the point here. Stop apologizing for existing. Start living with intention. Now, this doesn't mean bulldozing through people or refusing to admit when you're wrong. Real men accept responsibility. But there's a difference between accountability and compulsive apologizing. Accountability says, "Yes, he made a mistake. I'll correct it." Over-apologizing says, "I'm sorry for being in your space." One builds respect. The other erodes it. So, how do you break the habit? Start catching yourself. When sorry wants to slip out for something small, like asking a question or taking up space, pause. Replace it with strength. Instead of, "Sorry I'm late," say, "Thanks for waiting." Instead of, "Sorry for bothering you," say, "Do you have a moment?" These tiny shifts carry huge weight. Women may not consciously say, "Wow, he never over-apologizes," but they'll feel the difference. You'll project calmness, self-respect, and masculine certainty. And those, gentlemen, are exactly the qualities women find ridiculously attractive. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "I own my space." Make it your reminder, your declaration, that you no longer apologize for simply being you. Number 2, lead. Don't chase. One of the most common mistakes men make with women is chasing. You know what it looks like. The constant first text, the endless planning, the subtle desperation of trying to convince her to spend time with you. And here's the paradox. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. Why? Because chasing comes from insecurity. It carries the energy of a man who doubts himself, who secretly believes he must prove his worth before she'll consider him valuable. That energy is heavy. It repels more than it attracts. Leading, on the other hand, comes from confidence. It says, "I already know my value. I'm walking forward with purpose. You're invited to join me. But whether you accept or not, my life doesn't stop." That simple shift in energy changes everything. Think about it like this. Chasing puts her in the driver's seat. You're reacting to her moods, following her signals, letting her dictate the pace. Leading restores you to your natural masculine role. You set the direction. You create the frame. You invite her to step into it. And women respect that deeply. It's not about control. It's about clarity. The Stoics mastered this truth. Epictetus once said, No man is free who is not master of himself. When you're chasing, you're enslaved to her attention. Your happiness rises and falls on whether she texts back. But when you lead, you stay centered. You show that you can create structure, make decision, and live with intention. That stability makes women lean closer. Now, let's make this practical. Leading doesn't mean being pushy or arrogant. It means taking initiative with calm confidence. Instead of begging for her time, you frame the invitation. I'm checking out a new place Thursday at 8. Come with me if you'd like. See the difference. It's not a plea. It's an opportunity. If she declines, you're still going. If she accepts, she joins your world, not the other way around. This is how attraction builds naturally. Because women don't dream of men who beg for attention. They dream of men who carry direction, who hold their ground, and who don't collapse if told no. Safety flows from your grounded presence. Excitement flows from your ability to guide the moment. But leadership goes beyond planning dates. It includes emotional leadership. If she throws drama your way, you don't get dragged into the storm. You remain steady. You guide the tone. You show that her chaos cannot shake your foundation. That is true leadership. So here's the mindset shift. Stop asking, how can I get her to like me? Start asking, how can I invite her into the life I'm already building? Scarcity dissolves. Abondance apparaît. You're no longer chasing approval. You're leading with purpose. Here's my challenge. The next time you feel the urge to chase, pause. Ask yourself, am I leading or am I reacting? If you're reacting, shift. Women notice. They may not say it out loud, but they feel the difference between the man who leads and the boy who chases. Now, lock this lesson in. Drop a comment below with the phrase, I lead my life. That is your reminder, your declaration that from today, chasing ends. And stay close, because in the next part, we'll go deeper. We'll strip away the illusions, cut past the noise, and uncover the hidden pulse of desire itself, the raw current that shapes attraction long before a single word is spoken. Number 3, attraction without need. Here's the truth. Most men avoid admitting the fastest way to destroy attraction is to act like you depend on her for your happiness. When you radiate that clingy energy, refreshing your phone every few minutes, overanalyzing every word she sends, or bending over backwards to prove your worth, you're not building desire. You're suffocating it. Women are masters at sensing neediness, and the instant they feel you need them more than you simply want them, the mystery vanishes. Attraction isn't born in pressure. It grows in freedom. When you're calm in who you are, when your sense of worth isn't tied to her reaction, that's when she leans in. That's when she starts chasing you. This is exactly what the Stoics meant when they spoke of self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. If your greatest ambition is simply getting the girl, you've already lowered your value. But if your ambition is growth, creation, and living fully, you bring that energy into every interaction, and women can feel it immediately." Let's put this into perspective with a real story. Take Alex, 30, a software developer in New York. He started seeing Claire, 27, a photographer. At first, the chemistry was strong, but soon Alex slipped into the trap of neediness. Whenever Claire didn't reply quickly, he'd fire off another message. Did you see my text? Are you mad at me? On dates? He'd ask over and over if she liked him, if she wanted to see him again. To him, it was reassurance. To her, it was pressure. And pressure kills attraction. Within a month, she distanced herself. Here's the twist. When Alex realized his mistake, he made a shift. He stopped making Claire the center of his universe. He reconnected with his passions, coding projects, working out, and spending time with his friends. And when he did interact with women, he carried a calm, light presence. What happened next? Claire noticed. She reached back out, curious, drawn in by the shift in his energy, because the man who doesn't need her is the man she can't ignore. Here's the core lesson. Women aren't attracted to men who see them as the missing piece of their life. They're drawn to men who are already whole, who see women as an addition, not the foundation. That's why real confidence is magnetic. It says, I'd love for you to be here, but I don't need you to be. So how do you apply this? Catch yourself the next time you feel the urge to double text or over-explain. Pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from genuine desire or from a need for her validation? When you move from desire, you pull her closer. When you move from need, you push her away. Here's a powerful challenge. If you're ready to live from strength instead of desperation, I drop a comment below saying, I need nothing. That's your declaration, your standard. And stay with me, because in just a moment, we'll dive into something that takes this even deeper. How to channel your energy so powerfully that she feels it in her body before she even realizes it in her mind. Number 4, interest, not approval. One of the most common mistakes men make when dealing with women is confusing interest with approval. They believe that if a woman laughs at their jokes, compliments their looks, or tells them they're sweet, then attraction must be building. But here's the reality. Approval and desire are not the same. Approval is surface level. It's polite. It's her way of saying, you're fine. But fine never keeps her awake at night. Fine doesn't make her crave you. Fine doesn't turn into attraction. When you're chasing approval, what you're really saying is, tell me I'm good enough. You're handing her the stamp of power, waiting for her to validate your worth, as if you need her permission slip to be desirable. But when you're sparking interest, you're creating an experience. You're saying, here I am. Let's see if you can keep up. Interest pulls her closer, while approval seeking always pushes her away. The Stoics understood this dynamic long before modern psychology confirmed it. Epictetus once wrote, if you want to improve, to be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, if you live your life constantly chasing the approval of others, you'll never live with authenticity. The same applies in attraction. Approval may earn you a polite smile, but it will never ignite her body or her heart. Look around. Men who chase approval twist themselves like contortionists. If she looks bored, they change their tone. If she doesn't laugh, they tell another story. If she seems distant, they buy another drink. They're playing a losing game because approval doesn't lead to desire. Now contrast that with the man who understands attraction. He isn't desperate to prove himself. He isn't bending to fit her mood. Instead, He sparks curiosity by being grounded, playful, unpredictable. He creates an emotional rhythm that makes her want to step into his world. That's why so many men feel confused. They'll say, "But she said I was nice. She told me I was sweet. Why didn't she want more?" The answer is simple. She gave approval, not interest. Approval is safe. Interest is dangerous. Interest carries tension, polarity, and desire. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, the opinion of 10, 000 men is of no value if none of them knows the truth. Translate that into dating. The approval you're chasing is worthless if it doesn't come from genuine attraction. You don't need her, yes, to feel valuable. You need to embody the kind of man who knows his worth before she ever speaks. And here's the paradox: when you stop chasing approval, that's when true interest begins to grow. When you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start declaring, "This is who I am," that's when she feels the spark. Because women are not moved by compliance. They're moved by presence, energy, and a man who radiates his value without needing her to confirm it. Now let's lock this in. Drop a comment below and write, "I choose interest." That's your declaration that you're done begging for approval and ready to embody the kind of man who pulls women in with presence, not permission. And stay tuned, because what comes next is not just advice, but a force beyond words. An invisible current you already carry inside you, one that can change her response to you before you even say a single word. Number 5. Calm desire wins. Most men misunderstand what true attraction looks like. They think it's about turning up the volume, loud jokes, flashy costuras, constant energy, or relentless pursuit. They imagine desire has to be like fire burning hot, impossible to ignore. But here's the truth. Fire often burns out fast. What lasts? What truly wins a woman over is calm desire. The kind of presence that says, "I want you, but I don't need to devour you." It's attraction that's steady, grounded, and free from desperation. Why does calm desire work? Because it communicates control. It shows that you are moved by intention, not impulse. You want her, yes, but you're not defined by the outcome. That difference is everything. Let's paint the picture. Take Daniel, 32, living in New York. He's on a second date with Julia, 28. Nervous energy gets the better of him. He talks too fast, laughs too hard, and fiddles endlessly with his glass. He thinks his performance proves enthusiasm. But what Julia feels is pressure. It doesn't ignite chemistry, it kills it. Now imagine Daniel approaches differently. He slows down. He lets silences breathe instead of rushing to fill them. His gaze is steady but relaxed, not disparity. He listens more than he speaks, leaning back with quiet interest instead of bouncing from topic to topic. Julia feels something shift. Not pressure, but ease. Not tension, but safety. His calm desire tells her, "I'm here. I'm interested, but I won't lose myself in trying to win you." That stillness creates space for her to lean in. This is where most men go wrong. They flood a woman with attention, thinking more equals better. But attraction isn't about suffocating her. It's about giving her the room to feel your presence and then respond. Women notice when desire is calm. It frees them to relax, to explore, to match your energy. Calm desire isn't just attractive, it builds trust. When you show her that your want isn't frantic, she sees your steadiness. And steadiness is rare. It makes her feel safe enough to open her own feminine energy. Deepening connection. Even Marcus Aurelius knew this. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Apply this to relationships. And it's clear, calm desire isn't weakness. It's proof of inner power. It's the balance between wanting and waiting, leading and listening. It's desire without fear. Think of the last time you were drawn deeply to someone, yet didn't rush. That quiet confidence likely left a stronger mark than any flashy move. Because when women sense calm desire, it creates mystery. Mystery fuels imagination, and imagination fuels attraction. So, here's your anchor. Drop a comment below and write, "I choose calm." That's your vow to stop radiating frantic energy and instead embody the calm desire that naturally draws her closer. And stay tuned, because next, we're diving into a hidden shift most men never see coming. A mindset so powerful it makes her chase you without you even lifting a finger. Number 6, be the poet. When most men hear that phrase, they picture standing on a stage, reading verses, or reciting Shakespeare in hopes of impressing a woman. But that's not what I'm talking about. Being the poet isn't about memorized lines or fancy language. It's about energy. It's about depth. It's about speaking in a way that makes her feel something she can't explain. See, most men rely on logic when they speak to women. They think if they present their job title, their plans, or their list of achievements, she'll automatically be impressed. But logic doesn't stir attraction. Logic informs the brain. Attraction, however, lives in the heart, in the senses, in the invisible atmosphere you create when you open your mouth. This is where the poet comes alive. The poet doesn't just describe, he paints. Instead of saying, "The sunset looks nice," he says, "The sky looks like it's burning tonight." Instead of the bland question, "How was your day?" he leans in with curiosity. "Tell me the moment today that made you laugh without holding back." Notice the difference. One is flat. The other opens a door into emotion, into connection, into resonance. Because women don't remember every word you say. They remember how you made them feel. And when you speak like a poet, you make them feel alive. Being the poet isn't about being dramatic. It's about awareness. It's noticing the spark in her eyes when she talks about something she loves. It's hearing the softness in her voice when she recalls a childhood memory. And then reflecting it back with honesty. That's poetry. Ordinary words given extraordinary weight. The Stoics understood this balance between word and action. Epictetus once said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In this context, it means your words are not decorations. They come from presence, from your becoming. They aren't tricks. They are reflections of the man you are shaping yourself into. And here's the paradox. The poet doesn't try hard. Trying too hard kills the magic. The poet lets beauty flow naturally. He allows silence. He slows down, because silence itself can be poetic. The pause before you speak, the weight you let your words carry, The way you listen fully when she shares. That's what makes her lean in. Think back to a time someone said something simple, yet it stayed with you for days. Why? Because it resonated. Maybe it was timing. Maybe it was the calm confidence. Maybe it was the fact that they noticed something nobody else did. That's what being the poet is about: resonance, not vocabulary. And here's the hidden layer: when you practice being the poet, you reconnect with your own emotions. Too many men have been taught to shut theirs down. But women can sense when a man feels deeply and still remains steady in his masculinity. That blend of strength and vulnerability is magnetic. So, how do you start small? Notice beauty in your day. Describe it in a way that breathes life into it. Ask deeper questions. Slow your speech. Let her feel your presence through your attention. Remember, you don't need to be a writer. You just need to live vividly and let that vividness spill into your words. Because the poet doesn't chase, he inspires. He doesn't impress. He creates a space where attraction can breathe on its own. So ask yourself right now, are your words noise, or are they music? Drop a comment below with, "I speak depth," to affirm your commitment to bringing more resonance into your presence. And stay with me, because next, I'm going to reveal a hidden habit that doesn't require words at all, yet draws women toward you like gravity. Number 7, presence over words. Many men believe that the key to winning a woman's attraction lies in their speech. They focus on pickup lines, clever humor, or the perfect phrase that will supposedly unlock her interest. But here's the truth. Attraction doesn't spring from words. It emerges from presence. Women rarely recall every sentence a man says. What stays with them is how they felt in his company, and presence communicates far more than 1,000 carefully rehearsed lines ever could. Let's put this into perspective with a scenario. Take Daniel, 31 years old, living in Boston. Daniel is out on a dinner date with Sophia, 28. He's witty, intelligent, and knows how to keep the conversation flowing. But here's the issue. Daniel can't stand silence. Every pause feels like failure. So he rushes to fill it with more chatter, jokes, explanations, endless commentary. On the surface, nothing looks wrong. Sophia is smiling. The conversation seems lively. But beneath that, she senses something off. Daniel isn't connecting. He's performing. And performance feels hollow. Now imagine a different encounter. At a weekend gathering, Sophia meets Ethan, 33. Ethan doesn't say much at first. Instead, he asks Sophia a thoughtful question and listens with genuine focus. He doesn't interrupt. He holds steady eye contact. Not overly intense, but enough to make her feel seen. When she speaks, he nods slowly, giving her words space to land. His calm energy creates safety, making her open up more. Ethan's presence made Sophia feel valued, not entertained. And when she returned home that night, whose image lingered in her mind? Not Daniel, the man who performed, but Ethan, the man who was present. That's the heart of this principle. Women are drawn to men who know how to simply be there without overcompensating. When you're anxious, trying too hard to impress, your energy scatters. Even if your words are confident, she feels your nervousness. On the other hand, when you're grounded, calm, and comfortable with silence, She senses your strength without you needing to prove it. The Stoics knew this truth long before us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your inner world, the calm or chaos inside, bleeds into your presence. You cannot fake it. If your thoughts are frantic, it will show. If your mind is steady, purposeful, and rooted, she'll feel it before you even speak." Here's the mistake most men make. They think presence means saying something deep or profound. But presence doesn't equal silence, it equals depth. When you do speak, your words land with more weight because they aren't lost in noise. Women are highly attuned to energy. They can sense whether you're truly listening or just waiting for your turn to respond. So how do you cultivate presence? Start by slowing down. When she talks, don't prepare your next line. Just listen. When silence arrives, don't panic. Let it breathe. Hold eye contact with calm steadiness, not desperation. Ground yourself in your breath and the moment. The more rooted you are, the more magnetic you become. Think back to Daniel. If he had paused, asked one thoughtful question, and simply listened, the entire date could have shifted. Instead of being talked at, Sophia would have felt connected. And that's what women truly remember, the connection, not the performance. So here's the takeaway. Women are drawn to the man whose presence speaks louder than words. The man who listens, the man who isn't afraid of silence, the man whose calm presence says, "I am enough." Now I turn this to you. Do you find yourself talking too much? Filling space instead of being present? If so, write in the comments, "I choose presence." That will be your declaration that from now on, your presence will speak louder than your words. Number 8, the power of silence. Among all the traits a man can cultivate, few are as overlooked and misunderstood as this one, the courage to embrace quiet. Most men fear it. They assume that if the air isn't filled with chatter, they're boring her, losing her attention, or somehow failing the test. So, they scramble. They pile on more stories, jokes, explanations, anything to fill the pause. But here's the truth. Silence is not your weakness. Silence is your weapon. Women are highly intuitive. They can sense when a man sits comfortably within himself, and they can sense when he's desperately trying to prove his value. When you can hold silence without panic, you're sending her a clear message. You don't crave her validation. You're grounded. You're not afraid of space. And that alone sparks attraction on a level most men never reach. Think about it. A pause in conversation. A steady gaze. A slow smile. Those moments speak louder than 100 clever lines. They reveal control. They reveal presence. And presence is what women lean toward. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus once wrote, "Silence is safer than speech." He didn't mean never speak. He meant that silence shields you from exposing weakness, from saying things you don't truly mean. In relationships, the same principle applies. Silence gives you breathing room. It lets you observe instead of overreact. It turns your responses from impulsive to intentional. Most men underestimate just how magnetic stillness can be. When you don't rush to fill every second, something shifts. She begins filling it. She starts asking more questions. She opens up more about herself. She invests energy into the space you created simply because you weren't afraid of quiet. Now, let's be clear. Silence is not passivity. It's not coldness. It's not shutting down. It's confidence. It's proof that you don't need to perform to be worthy of attention. You're showing her that your presence alone has weight, even when you say nothing. And when you pair silence with body language, relaxed shoulders, calm breathing, steady eyes, it multiplies your impact. It shows composure. It shows you're not rattled. That's the difference between silence that intrigues and silence that feels awkward. And here's where the power grows. When you do speak, your words carry 10 times the weight, because you haven't drowned her in endless chatter. Your sentences land with precision. Instead of proving yourself with volume, you let silence create anticipation. That anticipation makes her lean in. She listens. She wonders. Women aren't drawn to the man who talks the most. They're drawn to the man who creates an emotional charge without words, the man whose silence makes her curious, whose stillness keeps her guessing. That's where mystery begins. And mystery fuels attraction. So, the lesson is simple. Stop running from silence. Practice leaning into it. Let her feel your calm. Let her wonder. Let her step into the space you leave open. That's the shift from being just another voice in the crowd to becoming the man she can't stop thinking about. Now it's your turn. In the comments, type this: I master silence. That's your declaration. That's your step into power. And stay tuned. Because up next, we'll uncover how stillness itself beyond silence becomes magnetic in ways most men never imagine. Number 9, stillness creates fire. Many men believe attraction is born from constant motion, more talking, more showing off, more chasing. But the truth is, sometimes the greatest spark is lit by doing less. Stillness has a magnetic force. It pulls a woman in, making her feel something deeper without a single word leaving your lips. When a man stands still, calm, grounded, and unshaken, it radiates confidence that can't be faked. That energy says he isn't desperate for approval, isn't scrambling to prove himself, but is steady in who he is. And that presence generates a heat women notice instantly. Picture Ethan, 34, at a rooftop lounge in Los Angeles with his friends. Instead of pacing, scanning the crowd nervously, or trying to fill every silence, he leans back, sips his drink with ease, and takes in the atmosphere. He doesn't force his way into the room's attention, and when Mia, 28, strolls over with a teasing smile, Ethan doesn't rush to impress. He listens carefully, lets pauses breathe, and allows his steady energy to do the work. That quiet stillness makes Mia lean in, intrigued, wanting more. This is the fire of stillness. It isn't passive, and it isn't dull. It's magnetic. It draws her in without you chasing. Women can sense when a man owns his energy. That stillness becomes a flame she can feel, a polarity that makes her want to step closer. Too many men mistake stillness for doing nothing. But stillness is intentional. It's holding your ground, letting tension rise, and resisting the urge to break it. That's why it creates heat. It gives desire space to grow. So remember, attraction isn't always about movement. It's about energy. When you master stillness, you don't just exist in her presence, you ignite it. If you believe stillness is your edge, type, "I own my energy" in the comments. Claim it now. And keep watching, because the next piece transforms this energy into intimacy she will never forget. Number 10. Unforgettable without trying. Here's the truth. When a man fully embodies his masculine presence, he doesn't need tricks or theatrics to leave a lasting mark. He becomes unforgettable naturally, not because of loud gestures or polished lines, but because the essence of who he is lingers long after the moment has passed. Many men mistakenly think memorability comes from performance, bigger laughs, flashier stories, or constant attempts to impress. Yet those fade quickly. What women truly hold on to isn't the noise, it's the feeling, the quiet imprint you leave when you're calm. Grounded presence speaks louder than anything you say. Think about it. She may forget your exact words, but she won't forget the way you look directly into her eyes. Steady and unwavering. She may not recall every step you took together, but she'll remember the security she felt walking beside you. She may not replay every detail of the conversation, but she'll carry with her the certainty of your composure. Take Robert, 34. For example, he used to overcompensate, cracking endless jokes, trying to win approval with humor. Women laughed, enjoyed themselves, but quickly moved on. It wasn't until he stopped performing, began listening more, and let his calm strength lead, that everything shifted. Later, Anna, 29, admitted, "I couldn't stop thinking about you." That's what unforgettable looks like. It bypasses reason and settles into memory. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your inner state is steady and strong, every interaction reflects it. Being unforgettable is subtraction, not addition. You stop forcing, stop chasing, and instead stand so firm in who you are that she feels it deeply. That's when you become the man she cannot forget. If this message sparked something in you, give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a shift in mindset that can quietly transform your life. Remember, we don't chase, we lead. We choose growth over desperation, strength over noise. Together, we rise higher each day. Thanks for watching, gentlemen, and I'll see you in the next one. And if a woman has been stripping away your sense of control, this is the video you need. It will help you reclaim your power. Thank you for watching this far. Stick around until the end to fully understand the value of this video. The moment you chase her approval, you lose the spark that defines you. Pause and let that sink in. Strength isn't found in pleasing her, clinging to her words, or proving you're enough. It's found in standing firm, knowing your worth glows fiercely, untouched by her gaze, her praise, her love. Picture a man, maybe you, who once built his world around her smile. He waited for her texts, adjusted his plans to fit her whims, only to feel hollow when she drifted away. What if the world convinced you to chase, to bend, to beg, and dressed it up as love? This video is for the man worn thin, tired of fading into her shadow, ready to reclaim the fire within. This is your moment to wake up. If your heart stirs, comment now, "I choose myself." She's drawn to the man who carries his own light, not the one who lingers, sending endless messages, or crumbling when her warmth fades. She respects the man who walks his path, steady as stone, even if it leads him alone. That's true strength. You've been led astray. Society whispers, be soft, be open, put her first, and love will follow. But reflect for a moment. Has that ever deepened her trust? Or did she pull back? When you poured out too much, too soon, too freely. Strength doesn't shout. It stands quietly rooted in resolve. Respect isn't won by pleading. The love you crave blooms only when you tend your own soul first. In this video, I'll guide you to become that man. Not through control, not through tricks, but by forging a presence so steady, she feels safe to walk beside you. Your journey begins now, on the path to your own truth. Step forward and let the world feel your fire. Number 1, stop needing her. The moment you need her to feel complete, you've already dimmed your own flame. Let that truth settle in your bones. You don't grow strong by chasing her approval, pleasing her every whim, or proving you're enough. You grow strong by turning inward, knowing your worth stands alone, unswayed by her words, her silence, her love. Imagine a man much like you. He used to live for her replies, his heart racing with each text, his days shaped by her moods. He thought love meant giving all. His time, his focus, his dreams, only to feel hollow when she pulled away. This isn't just a story, it's a truth you've lived. When you need her more than you need your own respect, you fade in her eyes. She feels it. In the quickness of your replies, the softness of your voice to avoid her displeasure, the way your world bends to her fleeting emotions. You offer your strength freely, not because she takes it, but because you've shown it's hers to hold. When a man does this, he stops being a force. He becomes a shadow, something she can set aside, not because she's unkind, but because you've taught her you're not whole without her. A woman can't cherish a man who doesn't cherish his own path. If you follow her like a wanderer lost in the dark, hoping she'll light your way, you'll dim every spark she once saw in you. What you think is love, texting her through the day, seeking her nod for every choice, waiting by the phone for her voice, is need disguised as care, and need extinguishes desire. It says, I have no world without you. But that doesn't pull her closer. It weighs her down, like she's carrying your soul in her hands. She didn't come to bear your burdens. She came because she saw a fire in you, a man whose presence held steady, whose purpose stretched beyond her. Now you've made her your purpose. You've traded your path for her gaze. That's not strength. That's losing your way. If you want her to be drawn to you, like a river to the sea, you must become unshakable. Not cold, not distant, but rooted in your own truth. She must know that if she fades tomorrow, your life won't falter. It will move forward, steady, alive with your own light. That's where her respect takes root. In your certainty, in your purpose, in the quiet strength of a man who chooses himself. To stop seeking her light, you must rebuild your inner world from the ground up. Start by pulling your energy back from her. Pour it into yourself as if your life depends on it, because it does. Stop checking if she saw your message. Stop searching her words for hidden meanings. Stop treating her silence like a storm. Every moment you spend tethered to her is a moment stolen from your own growth. Turn that focus inward. Get consumed with becoming so capable, so centered, so alive in your mission, that your presence shifts the air around you. Rise before the sun. Work your body until it aches. Push your limits until your fears crumble. Read books that reshape your mind. Stoicism, wisdom, stories of men who forged their own paths. Read until the pages blur, until new truths settle in your heart. Cut away what dims your flame. Let go of those who waste your time, habits that sap your strength, distractions that pull you from your course. Build your life like you're crafting a legacy, because you are. Track your steps with care, as if each one shapes your future, because it does. And above all, embrace hardship. Train yourself to face discomfort with calm, to let struggle shape you, not shatter you. The man who can stand in pain and still hold his center is the one no storm can break. He is the rock, the guide, the presence she trusts, even when she tests it. She may not voice it, but she seeks that man, the one who doesn't flinch when she pulls back, who doesn't chase when she drifts, who says no with quiet resolve, not to hurt her, but because he honors himself too much to bend. You become that man. By reclaiming every piece of yourself you've given away, the smiles you force to keep her happy, the apologies you offer when you're not wrong, the energy you spend explaining yourself to a heart already closed. Take it all back. Stop needing her warmth. Start needing your own respect. When you shift your heart from seeking love to building strength, she'll feel it. Her messages will soften. Her presence will warm. She'll draw closer, not because you demanded it, but because your steadiness makes her feel safe. This isn't about turning away from her. It's about turning toward yourself. It's about knowing that love only grows when you stand firm in your own worth. You must become so rooted in who you are that even if the world falls away, you remain. If you wake each day needing her to make you whole, you'll always feel incomplete. But if you build yourself step by steady step until your presence alone commands respect, You won't need to chase anyone. What's meant for you will come to you. That's how you draw her in. Not by grasping for her, but by standing firm in yourself. Not by proving your worth, but by becoming so whole. You don't need to prove anything. Don't text her endlessly. Text your dreams. Don't wait for her call. Answer your purpose. Don't beg to be chosen. Choose yourself. Until she sees a man, she can't help but choose. She doesn't want to save you. She wants to stand beside you. She wants to feel inspired by your path, not burdened by your need. And she can't do that if you're always searching her eyes for approval. Stop treading lightly through her moods. Start walking boldly on your own path. When she sees you grounded in your truth, even when the world shakes, that's when she trusts you. And if she doesn't, let her go. You're not here to plead for her presence. You're here to become a man who builds his own world, who carves his own way, who shines so brightly that only those who see his light can walk with him. Fade into your growth so deeply that when she sees you again, you're transformed. Not out of spite, but out of progress, out of becoming the man who never needed her light to shine. Rewire your soul. Remind yourself daily, her love is not your breath. Your purpose is. That's where your strength lives, in knowing your way and walking it without fear. Become the man who moves through life so steadily that she either rises to meet you or fades into the distance. That's the presence she'll always carry. That's the man she'll never forget. That's how you find your strength. Not by seeking her light, but by kindling your own, steady, unshakable, eternal. Number 2, master your inner world. She trusts the man who trusts himself. She follows the one who walks his path, even when the winds of chaos howl. You don't earn her respect by shaping her choices. You earn it by taming the storm within your mind. The true battle isn't between you and her. It's between your impulses and your calm, your doubts and your discipline, your heart and your purpose. Picture a man, perhaps you. He once let her silence unravel him, his mood swaying with her every word. When she pulled away, he chased. When she grew cold, he crumbled. His days became a mirror of her emotions. But here's the truth. If you waver when she drifts, if you break when she's distant, if your peace depends on her smile, you've surrendered your greatest strength, your inner stillness. You must forge a mind that no approval can sway, no rejection can shatter. Most men falter, not because they lack worth, not because they aren't enough, but because they can't guide their own hearts. They tremble when she tests them. They bend when she grows quiet. They lose their way when she questions their steps. And what they miss is this. Her tests aren't meant to wound. They're her way of seeking truth, to see if the man before her is steady or just a shadow held up by fragile feelings. To earn her trust, stop chasing her reactions. Stop answering every emotion with action. Stop drifting on the tides of your heart. Build your awareness, like a sailor charting the stars. Observe your thoughts, but don't let them steer you. Listen to your fears, but don't let them command you. When her words sting your pride, pause, breathe, respond as a man who needs no defense. When she pulls back, don't pursue. Hold your ground and let her return to the strength you've built. That's what she's watching. Not your promises, not your flattery. She's watching to see if your core holds firm. You can't pretend. Strength like this is earned, not borrowed. To become that man, you must let go of the part of you that reacts. Silence the voice that urges you to lash out. Ignore the impulse to flood her with texts. Refuse to justify your worth when she doubts it. Choose stillness. Stillness is the mark of strength. Reaction is weakness wearing a mask. If she knows you'll falter, she knows she can sway you. But when you stand unmoved, when you face discomfort and let it pass, like a breeze through an ancient tree, she notices. She leans in, searching for something rare. A man who doesn't lose himself in the storm, who faces rejection, chaos, challenge, and still walks his path, unshaken. This man isn't born. He's crafted through quiet moments, through repeated choices, through the courage to face pain. You build him every time you rise early, drag yourself to the gym, and move through exhaustion, because a strong body sharpens a steady mind. You build him when you sit in silence, breathe through your urges, write your thoughts, and refuse to let them rule you. You build him when you read wisdom, Stoicism, philosophy, tales of resilient souls, and weave their truths into your life, until your inner world feels as solid as stone. You build him when you say no to temptation, when you walk away from fleeting pleasures, because mastering your mind is about choosing the long road over the easy one. It's about becoming a man who is harder to shake than the world around him. It's about showing her, without words, that she's not your guide. You are. Your values are your compass. Your purpose is your map. Your emotions are whispers, not commands. Learn to feel deeply, but act with clarity. Learn to hurt, but not to break. The man who can stand in turmoil and still carry peace is the one who commands the moment. Nothing draws her more than a man she can't unsettle. Not because he's proud, but because he's grounded, centered, whole. That wholeness pulls her in. That presence holds her close. That strength lets her feel safe to soften. It begins with choosing discipline over the chaos of unchecked emotions. Every time you skip your practice, you weaken your resolve. Every time you shy from hardship, you feed the part of you that craves ease. Starve that part. Nurture the guide within. You're not here to bend to every feeling. You're here to lead. And leadership starts in your mind. She can't walk with you. If you can't keep your own promises, speak less, act more, craft a code of values, and live it without compromise. Make your mornings sacred. Let your actions roar louder than your words. Don't argue. Don't defend. Don't react. You're not here to persuade her. You're here to become a man who needs no persuasion. When she sees your calm endure while the world spins wild, she won't drift. She'll draw near because you've become the anchor in her waves, the steady light that shows her what leadership means. Not through force, but through clarity. Not through control, but through certainty. That's how you earn her trust, not by overpowering her, but by mastering yourself so fully. She chooses to walk beside you, master your inner world and your presence. When you ache to be seen, walk away unseen but unbroken. That's when you become unshakable. She doesn't need a man who sways with her storms. She needs one who can guide her through them without losing his way. You become that man, not through words or fleeting moments, but through rituals that align your life with your truth. Set unbreakable habits. Train every day. Rise before the dawn. Work while the world sleeps. Lead yourself so fiercely that your life becomes a beacon. And when she returns, when she sees your calm never wavered, she won't doubt you again. Because a stillness like yours shifts everything. She doesn't want to guide you. She wants to reflect your strength, your order, your clarity. Build that quietly, day by day, forever. Number 3, hold your path. Without a steady path, you're adrift in her world, not grounded in your own. She doesn't follow a man who sways. She doesn't trust one who bends his truth to keep her. She wants to know if your roots run deep or if your values crumble like dust. Each time you trade what matters for her approval, a piece of her trust fades. It's not your words she weighs, but what you let slide. Holding your path isn't about ruling others. It's about ruling your direction. A man who stands firm doesn't need to shout. His choices speak. His stillness resonates. She feels the difference between a man who leads and one who bargains away his core to please her. Imagine a man, perhaps you. He once softened his stance to avoid her frown, let her sharp words pass without a word. He thought bending would hold her close, but each compromise carved a hollow space. She grew distant, not because she meant harm, but because she craved a man she could lean on. Her heart seeks safety, and safety grows from your unwavering truth. She may not voice it, but she notices when you overlook disrespect. She sees when you tolerate what you once rejected. She holds it in her heart, not out of cruelty, but because she needs to feel secure. Security comes from knowing you'll stand alone, if your path demands it. Holding your path isn't pride. It's clarity. It's the strength to stay true. When emotions burn like fire, when she challenges you, with sharp words, silence, or distance. She's asking without speaking, are you the man you claim to be? The moment you shift to dodge conflict, you falter. The moment you over-explain, excuse her disregard, or justify her betrayal, you drift. You can't build trust by apologizing for standing tall when you've done no wrong. If you've honored your values, you owe no defense. Holding your path means knowing your truth. So deeply it's unshakable, even by the woman you cherish. You don't debate your boundaries. You live them. You don't plead for her to see your worth. You embody it so fully it shines clear. She's not drawn to your compromises. She's drawn to your roots. A man who says no with quiet strength changes the air around him. It stirs her, because so few can refuse without anger or doubt. But when you speak with calm certainty, she listens. Holding your path is knowing you choose, not beg to be chosen. Your life is the anchor, not hers. If you water down your truth to fit her, you fade into the background. To hold your path, know what you stand for, and never betray it. If you value honesty, don't excuse lies. If you prize respect, don't accept less. If your purpose comes first, don't trade it for comfort. She will test your resolve, not to push you away, but to trust your strength is real. Each time you stand firm, her faith in you grows. But if you waver, even once, you begin to slip in her eyes. Your path isn't about overpowering her. It's about direction. You must be so clear about your way that she either walks with you or watches you go on without her. You're not here to mirror her chaos. You're here to offer her your calm, and if she can't step into it, you let her go, not with bitterness, but with peace. A man who knows his path knows not everyone belongs on it. Review your life like a keeper of a sacred fire. Who fuels your flame? Who dims it? Who honors your truth, and who chips away at it in silence? You don't beg anyone to stay. You build a life so steady that their absence is their loss, not yours. This is your path. You don't bend it to be loved. You shape it so only those who align remain. When she sees you unmoved by her distance, her tests, her storms, she softens. She draws closer. That's when she trusts you. Not because you forced her, but because your presence is a lighthouse. This isn't hardness, it's strength, and it's the strength that lets her rest. She doesn't want to steer the ship. She wants to trust your course, to feel your calm, to lean into your steady truth. But trust is earned. It begins when you place your values, your vision, your purpose above her fleeting moods. Love her deeply, but never above the truth that guides you. If you put her before your path, she loses the anchor she sought. You lead by staying true, and that leadership is quiet. It lives in your voice, your choices, your calm. When you live it fully, her choice becomes clear: align with you or step away. Either way, you stand firm. That's your path. That's your strength. Number 4, lead with your light. A true leader doesn't chase. He shapes a life so steady, she can't help but step toward it. Leadership isn't in running after her, it's in standing so firm in your truth that she feels your presence like a beacon. She doesn't follow the man who pleads, who explains himself endlessly, or showers her with gifts to keep her close. She follows the one whose path is so clear, her heart knows to align or drift away. Imagine a man, perhaps you. He used to chase her replies, his days tethered to her fleeting glances. He thought love meant proving himself, sending long messages to win her back, offering everything to hold her near. But each effort left him emptier, her distance growing colder. Here's the truth. When you chase, you hand her the reins. You ask her to lead, to choose, to define you. And deep down, she pulls back, not because she wants to, but because she needs a man who knows his worth. Chasing isn't strength. It's a quiet cry of doubt. It says, "I'm not enough without you." But what happens when you turn inward, when you stop seeking her light and start kindling your own? That's when she sees you, not as a shadow chasing her glow, but as a flame burning bright on its own. True attraction begins where desperation fades. She doesn't need to be won over. She needs to be moved. And movement comes from your life's purpose. Build a world so strong that your presence feels like a current, pulling her in without a word. The man who leads doesn't boast. You feel his strength in the way he moves, the way he speaks without seeking approval, the way he places his purpose above all. Your discipline is your pull. Your silence is your call. Your path is your gift. If she can't see it, she's not ready, and you don't pause for those unready. You keep forging ahead. Focus on becoming unshakable, more grounded, more alive in your craft. Chase mastery, not her gaze. Hone your skills until your work speaks for you. Shape your body until it carries your will. Build connections that open paths. She couldn't dream of walking. Through it all, stay warm but steady, open but rooted. You don't chase because what's meant for you will find you without losing who you are. Your time is precious, not a gift to be scattered. Your energy is sacred, not a currency to trade. You're not here to please or perform. You're here to grow, to become a man whose life is a lighthouse. If she's the right woman, she'll feel safe in that light. A man who leads with his light creates a space of trust. His love doesn't beg, it invites, and that invitation is rare. She knows it can't be swayed. She knows she must rise to meet it. That's what earns her respect. Not the man who pours out words, not the one who justifies every step, but the one who moves with quiet certainty, his life a testament louder than any speech. You become him by shedding every plea, every "please choose me," and building a life so full that her absence wouldn't dim your flame. Lead with your light by becoming a man who needs nothing, but gives everything through his presence. A man who brings calm, not chaos, clarity, not doubt, direction, not drift. This strength isn't an act, it's forged. Forged in mornings when no one sees you rise, in efforts when no one counts your steps, in moments of reflection when no one hears your truth. She's watching, even when you think she's not. She sees how you hold yourself in her silence, how you carry on when her attention fades, how you live when you're alone. That's where your leadership shines. And when you show it, when you prove your worth lies in your being, not your pursuit. Her heart shifts. Her voice softens. She reaches out. She leans closer, not because you chased, but because you led. In that shift, you reclaim your place, not above her, but ahead, guiding with a steady hand. You weren't born to seek approval. You weren't made to beg for love. You're here to shape your world, to walk with clarity in your eyes and peace in your soul. The moment you stop craving to be seen and start crafting a life that commands respect, everything changes. She feels it. The world feels it. You don't need to be flawless. You need to be moving forward, day by day, step by step. Stop waiting for her to see your worth. Become the man whose worth is woven into every choice he makes, every goal he chases, every truth he lives. Your leadership begins when your doubts fall silent. Your confidence grows when you face what scares you. Your strength rises when you vow never to bend your truth again. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are simply hidden beneath layers of ease, distraction, and fear. It's time to shed them, to rise as a man, unrecognizable to who you were, not for her, not for the world, but for the man you see in the quiet of your soul, the one who would never settle, never plead, never stray from the path he was born to walk. This is your story. Write it with courage. If these words stirred something deep within you, if a spark caught fire in your heart, don't let it fade. Hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel, not just for the algorithm, but to stand with a mission that brings this truth to men still searching, still chasing, still silent in a world that's forgotten what leadership means. Share this with a brother who needs it. Leave a comment below. I'm building my light because you're not here to linger. You're here to become the man you were always meant to be.